Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Those of you in the chat, thanks for driving Kranky Live. Shu Shen, Drew Ross, thanks for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another Monday, another episode of Kranky Live Sports Talk. And I love when I look in the comment section and in the like section that the like is above the comment in terms of numbers. You know, I focus on that quite a bit, even though, as I said before, there are 3 periods where we'll have this discussion. At the inception of the program, when we start, someplace in the middle and someplace at the end, because I don't want to keep on repeating myself continuously about the need to like, share, and subscribe, and I get a lot of grief about that. But welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a lot to talk about. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll take off my hat. I'm gonna take it off later. Let us talk first, and then we take it off so we can answer my bothered. We have a lot to talk about today. If you think about it, a lot of sports took place since my last show. Obviously, here Monday through Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is about 5 to 7 p.m. Jamaica time. So I appreciate each of you being here, taking time out of your day. I know in some places people are just leaving work and it's kind of difficult to click in, but just put your device on YouTube and just listen, put it on your headset. If you're on public transportation, if you're driving, if you're in your car, just turn it on. Appreciate you being here. What we're going to talk about today? Well, as you know, football is big. COPA is here. Euro is here. Jamaica coaching carousel is here. The track and field team has been named along with the management staff. We've touched upon those things. What else is here? Lewis Hamilton won the F1 Grand Prix for the first time in how long? We've touched upon that a little bit, even though I can't say I'm the biggest F1 fan, but I try to be aware and knowledgeable about most sports. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So it should be good. And then, as we always do, later on in the program, we'll take phone calls, right? We'll take your calls to talk about anything that you want to talk about. So it should be a good discussion. I expect to have somebody join me, but I'll see if he turns up because it's late in his region. So we'll see if he's able to join, because you know when you have 5 or 6 hours away, it does become a little bit challenging when it gets late in the evening. So we'll see if that person join me. But looking forward to have a lot of discussion. I watch a few of the other YouTube bloggers. I promise myself that no matter what I hear on this program, I will restrict myself from critiquing or sometimes even referring to those things. I'll leave them alone. As you hear, part of my standards that I have, which some people say may be hypocritical, which is I don't criticize my friends on my program. I will talk to them one-on-one if I have a disagreement with them, but I'm not going to do it in a public sphere. And some people think that's not right to do, but that's how I operate. And I try to be as transparent in my audience as possible about how I operate. So we have no ambiguity in terms of what standards I have, what my integrity entails, and what that looks like, right? Obviously, someone will say, well, you criticize other people. Yeah, because that's the nature of having a YouTube program. You will find yourself instances where you don't disagree with something, or You may have a different perspective, and it may be deemed to be criticism, but sometimes it's just a different perspective, different opinion. Bless up, Fresh God. Thanks for being here. And Fresh, as usual, always a great support to all the bloggers, most of the bloggers. I shouldn't say all, most of the bloggers actually, in terms of what he does. So, Fresh, we appreciate you. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. But before I start, people, something came up recently. See, the numbers start changed the wrong way. But anyway, it's okay. Someone sent me a clip from a program I think I had early last week, which I thought was interesting. And the clip seemed to indicate that, and the person sort of referred to that I was enabling. I didn't think the person said I was enabling, but that's what the person who clipped it was basically saying. I was enabling people on my channel to espouse certain views, which I'm going to paraphrase and say was not appropriate. And obviously, as you know, people, you can't tell anyone what to say when they come on your program. And that's why sometimes I don't drop my link for people to come on. I have call in, and I only drop the link to those people I directly ask to join me on the program. It's not an elitist view. That's how I operate, because I want to have more control. And I'm going to play what the person clipped. They clipped 22 seconds of this. They didn't clip the totality of it. Whatever narrative they want to provide, they clipped that and they sent it to the person. The person sent it to me. And I indicated to the person I would talk about it in my program, because I thought it was a little bit disingenuous of the person. But you know what? Let me play it first and you can see what it says. And then we'll have a conversation about it. Because if you hear me on this program, one of the things that I keep on indicating is that I want us to be respectful of each other. I want us to treat each other fairly. I want to be cognizant of how our words resonate and what our words entail. Because words do have effect, sometimes material effect on people. And I want us to be cognizant of what we're saying. You hear me say sometimes, say somebody's an idiot. You can say they can enhance their learning skills. You can use euphemism, which is a more milder way of saying something, versus trying to be harsh to show how impactful you are, because such words can resonate with an audience and it makes you feel good. But when you feel good, you're making somebody else feel bad, right? So you hear me say that. So I'm going to play the clip, people. And then I'm going to play, I think I have a little bit longer version of the clip, which I'll also play. So let's listen to this clip. Hopefully I get it right.
As the whole of our society are all CRIMINALS. I don't know if I spell it wrong, I'm right. I'm fully done.
Our society is what? Say it again, please.
Our society back home is CRIMINALITY, criminality. As the whole of the...
So that was the clip that was sent to me. And that was clipped from the program. And the view was that I was either supporting, encouraging, allowing, enabling people in the program to, I'm within my president said it the exact way, but I'm saying it, denigrating, belittling Jamaica and saying everybody in Jamaica criminal, and I'm allowing that in my program. That's what the person who clipped it is basically saying. And I say I'm paraphrasing what the person sort of said to me. And so it's a concern by those individuals. And one of the persons who I think clipped this or had a comment on it is some person in a governmental organization, right? And I thought that was interesting. So here, and you may not have seen the program. So here is what I clipped myself. And it's a more complete clip as to what transpired. So they clipped 22 seconds. Not many people clip like a minute. They clipped 22 seconds. So
I know football. I'm gonna really follow up what this man said, that man said, because in life, everybody has just one life we have to live. It's when your number call and God call you, we all have to go.
Well, me tell him to delay my one. Tell him I'm ready yet.
All right, me don't want to delay.
Me delay. Until me can function, me delay my one as long as possible.
All right, me a 49 and if God call me, know me good. But me want to take me to my sleep still. But the struggling too tough on the earth, and with what going in the world with the crisis, and we don't have no peace. Anyway, I don't want to go through that. So when me I try to say, couple of years ago, me used to watch YouTube and me the little my ball say, when FIFA for game like 110,000 or like 4,000 a game, and I know me and my ball, and from this time and them a fight, Because our
then you people can inform me how I think I went because far I clipped it, but somehow it's playing the longer thing. So let me try to bring it to where it should be. And play it. I apologize for that. I thought I had it at the exact spot, and obviously I missed that.
You call them man, yeah, man, because them was man like me and you. We don't call them no kids now. Him say, if we make it to the World Cup, we don't get land, free land. You did you know that?
Yeah, but that's a promise that wasn't never kept, was it?
We know because the whole of our society are all CRIMINALS. You don't know if you spell it wrong, right? I'm fully done.
Our society is what? Say it again, please.
Our society back home is CRIMINALITY, criminality.
They're gonna say they're criminals, but don't say that in Jamaica, because say my boy come after you. If you say that Jamaica, you charge you for defamation of character.
No, none of them can't charge me. Me nothing to them so. All me having a my pants. I'm a wet up underpants. I'm a wet up boxer. So
that's too explicit. That's too explicit. That's too explicit, Carla. We don't want to hear that. We don't hear that, Carla. We don't want to hear that.
Well, when me I said, keep
it decent. Keep it decent. But
yeah. But when me I try to say, you know the JFF, them pinch back.
So that was what I clipped actually of what transpired, right? And sometimes context matters, right? If you just hear the 22-second clip, it provides a different context from, by the way, big up Conroy, thanks for joining, context from what may be perceived from the 22-second versus the longer clip that I played. And I've said this before, and the person didn't send the clip, they didn't say they defended me. They just said that they got this from someone, and they mentioned it's more than one person's, and that's the view they have. And obviously it's not a positive view. And I'm always trying to say my program is one that's sort of about upliftment and respect and all that. So I don't want things to be taken out of context, right? Because that's not the right thing. And that 22 seconds clip, the person is trying to create a certain narrative, which is not reflective of what my program wants to be, or how the program should be, or how I am as a person. And so that was very, very disappointing. And YouTubers can't control what people call in or even guests say on their program, right? They can cut them off. They can change at some point, but what's said is said. You can't correct it. You may have an overlay to it. Bless up, God bless. Bless up, Ricardo. Thanks for joining. But you can't necessarily control it, right? It's just like you call into any radio station. Traditional radio is the same concept. So that's just to say for people, when you call into this program or when you engage in this program, let's try to keep it at a certain level. I'm always trying to uplift the conversation. That was a disappointing clip. Maybe I could have treated it a little bit differently in terms of how my response was. But I did say to him, look, it was in Jamaica, that may not be received really well. But I also think the person who sent the clip has a certain perspective and narrative, and it's their prerogative. I would say to the person, though, I am not trying to create a negative environment. And as I said to everyone who part of my program, if I have one person watch me and engage with me, I'm fine with that. And if you don't like the program, don't watch the program. That's my philosophy. That's why you see me creating subscriber mode. Person comment, you don't like it, don't watch it. There's a lot of other bloggers on YouTube. You think my program is one that encourages inappropriate behavior, don't watch it. Because that's not what I stand for. But it's that you think I stand for, then go watch something else. I'm all for that. Because I'm not into doing things that are not appropriate. So anyway, I thought I should address that because it's not a good look. It's not a good thing. Always want things to be done the right way, frankly. So Eagle said, because Kranky finally got some internet. Tropical Storm, bro. It's in Houston. I know it was in Texas. I didn't know it was in Houston. Eagle Public. I know it's in Texas. I'm not sure where in Texas it was. But hopefully you and your family are safe. It said it left you. So hopefully it left you in a good stead, right? Because bless up, Ty, it's not a good thing as people in Jamaica experience, and people we should pray for and support people in Grenada. I heard St. Vincent has been devastated. Some of the smaller islands have gone through a really tough time, and it's difficult people when when people go through these difficult situations, when we have things like storms. So hopefully everybody's okay. I know Jamaica had a few deaths, which is unfortunate. So condolences to those individuals who lost loved ones. But hopefully the storm goes away. And maybe people, hey, Tony, good night. Can't see no Tony, dark. I know it's late in England. Can't see. Tony, good evening. This is Tony, people. Tony's my partner in crime from the UK. See, we can't even see Tony, dark. And it's 11 o'clock. It's after 11 in the UK. I'm gonna take Tony out till I'm gonna take you out till you're ready, Tony. I'm gonna take you out till you're ready.
All right.
Tony's in the UK, people, and I asked Tony to join me today. I will not be on tomorrow and Wednesday at the traditional 6 to 8 time. Tony and I are gonna try to do. I'm gonna say try to do. We're trying to figure out how to do it. Simulcast of watch along for both COPA and the Euro 24 semifinals, both semifinals. We're going to try to do both of them. So watch along. So as you know, I think one started at 3. I mean, one may start at 8. Don't ask me how Tony going to do it, people, because when in the UK where Tony is, it's what is it? It's 5 hour different. So if it's 8 o'clock here, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So I know I couldn't do it because I'm past that age, frankly. I'm sort of as that thing I played for you a while ago. Part of that conversation was being seasoned, and I'm seasoned, so I can't do it. Tony's still young. I mean, Tony, I can't do the 1 to 3 stuff. 1 to 4 stuff. I'm too over. Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm well, sir. I'm well. Yeah, just finalizing my. Yep, there we go. 18.
So hey, people, sorry, Tony, people here, just focus on a couple. Then we're going to talk COPA, we're going to talk Euro, we're going to talk some athletics, and we'll talk the Jamaica coaching carousel. By the way, Tony, you know what? Before I jump, I will answer. You know what, Eagle? I'm gonna start with this first. Is that what you want to start with? We'll get to COPA and we get to Euro. I'm gonna start with this first, the coaching carousel, because I have some views on that. But by the way, I did ask for the list, and I was told, "Hell no! What are you talking about?" So some people trying to. So maybe I'm not in the in crowd because I was told I would never see that list. I'm paraphrased. You'll never see that list. That's what I'm saying. And I reach out to someone to get the list. But I'll say this: I came up with a list of attributes the coach should have, right? But I'm gonna engage with Tony first. I'm gonna come up with a list of attributes because I think it's important. And you know what? I didn't want to start with this, people. I'm not gonna start with this because you're gonna kill the whole show. If I start with the coaching, that's the show. We're done. We're done.
Go
so
on,
Tony, you're back up.
Start.
No, Tony, you don't know the audience, Tony. I'm telling you. If we start with this, we will never have a show about COPA or Euro or athletics or Lewis Hamilton. We won't. I'm gonna let you drive the show, Tony. You tell me where you want to go. Because I'm telling you, the show is done after this.
I'll tell you why you can start with it. Because I actually was listening to Man is Man talking about coaches for Jamaica. And yeah, I heard him reel off at least 10 out of the 20 lists that you're privy to. So
right,
I know,
I'm not going to talk about the list. I'm not talking about the list.
On the list. I know Joby McInnough is on the list. I know Thierry Henry is on his list. So yeah.
So who prepared that list? Because I didn't hear this in the program. Who prepared that list?
I have no idea. Here's
my view about lists, people. There's two things about lists. There's a list where people reach out to apply for the role because they hear the role is there. And your question is, well, what job are you doing? Why are you applying? What's the perspective on you? But people apply for roles in any discipline. And there's a list that I prepare where I'm going to reach out to the person. So here's the one I value more than anything else. In any job, when someone reach out to you to pursue a role, it's because they believe you have the skill sets and what they're looking for to apply for the role they want to consider for application. It's like pursuing a relationship. If the girl is pursuing you, right? You're not the one doing the pursuing. You know what you want to. You don't know what attributes she have. You got to find out what she did or whatever it is, who she is. But if you're doing the pursuing, you already done your due diligence. You know what you're looking for, and she has those attributes. You're going to go after her. That's the way I view sourcing positions, right? You can do one of two ways. And sometimes you get great candidates who pursue you. Doesn't mean it has to go either way, but I'm saying you got to do both. People got to pursue you. You got to do the pursuing. You bring that list together, you review the list, and you make a decision about who you want to bring in to interview, and you have criteria you're looking for. So I have my list of criteria I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to my. It's a decent list, by the way. So I'm gonna go to the list because Tony want me to go this route. So I want a modern ball possession, pressing-oriented coach. And as I said before, we should not only look for. I write this down. You know, I spend time doing this. That's why people make it vexed. Well, no one give me no likes, you know, because we spend time. YouTubers spend time and do work to come on the program, and then they come in, no one press the like button like I do a favor. But anyway. I said we should not only have coaches pursue us, we should pursue coaches. And the coach, to me, should live on the island, but should travel frequently. That's my view. So here are the attributes I'm looking for. Understand the administration and the Jamaican culture. And here's what I'm saying.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's tough. It's important. So it should be this appreciation and understanding of the JFF, its background, its modus operandi, who are the influencers in the organization expectation. Also going to understand uniqueness about Jamaican culture in terms of how we've started to play football, people, the stakeholders, and expectation. Because we don't want to get into a situation where you haven't done your homework and you're shocked when you go in there, which I think happened to the last coach. Trust me. You go, it looks good on the surface. You go in and you're like, oh my God, what the hell did I get myself involved in? If a coach retires 2 years into a job, they're getting paid, right? They're the one who resigned. It looks good to qualify for the World Cup. Something went wrong someplace. And if you don't understand the administration and what you're in for, you may be in trouble. Big up Carlington Grant. Big up Michael Wilburn. You may be in trouble. So that's important. Being what I call a politician, the ability to readily understand the environment you're operating in, how you engage with certain people, be politically savvy with the administrators, while maintaining the required autonomy to effectively execute your responsibilities. So you can't be a yes person, but you can't be a pure no person. No to say no to, how you're going to manage them, who to say you're going to manage them. You got to navigate that environment because it's not as clear as it may seem or as easy as it may seem. And here's why.
Can I jump?
Before you get the last 2 coaches, Lauren Donaldson, took the team to the last 16 of the Women's World Cup, did a phenomenal job. He didn't get fired, as we were told. His contract was not resumed. They didn't reignite his contract, right? They got rid of him. The men's coach left. He didn't tell us exactly why he left, even though he told the players. And yet he left in the middle of the qualification process when some people think he did a good job, others think he may not, but he left. So do you really know how to navigate that environment? And if you're unfamiliar with the Caribbean, how the Caribbean operate, administrators, just like similar probably to Africa, it's a little bit different environment than you do in Europe or you do in the Americas. Things work differently. So go ahead, Tony.
So a word that has come up as a result of what you explained you're looking for, possibly one of the most fundamental aspects of literally any organization is ego.
Ego?
Yeah. Because to me, it's what ultimately draws our planet down in every aspect of negative human interaction. Yeah. So, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about sharecropping, property investment, charity. Ego often is the single worst aspect of relationship building that causes friction and ultimately difference of opinion and this desertion. I've been in a number of situations where people who are unable to deal with their ego ultimately means they're unable to stand in public spaces with certain individuals because their ego just completely stops them from being able to say, I'm going to hold my tongue Yeah. And I'm going to try to be more negotiable in whatever dealings that we're dealing with, you know. To that end, obviously you have some amazingly huge egos, none bigger than, for instance, Jose Mourinho. And
who changes jobs frequently, by the way.
Exactly.
Very frequently.
And
yes.
what you have to almost consider is, am I willing to work with such a character whose ego is so strong? But whose
Tony,
ego...
Tony, the ego of the coach will not be bigger than the ego of some member of the JFF administration. Trust me.
That's why I said
ego clashes don't work. Ego clashes don't work. Yeah. That's why being political is people may think political is a bad thing. It means you can navigate any environment you're operating. You can navigate the environment. You know what works and doesn't work.
Yeah.
And what will
I mean, you look at someone like Trump, his ego clearly takes him to certain areas in his country that, other people don't have the capability to do what he does and say what he says. So his ego has worked it to his benefit a great deal of time, but it also creates this huge gap between those who can stand his ego and those who absolutely deplore it.
Yeah,
it's like what we say in England is, we say there's a thing called Marmite. You call it the same thing? I know they call it Vegemite in Australia. It's a product that you spread on bread. The thing bitter so bad that you either love it or you hate it.
Right. So maybe you don't have extremes in the person you bring in. Maybe you manage that extreme, even if their resume is stellar. Maybe you manage the extreme because if you don't, you're gonna end up in a divorce. So let me just go to the list. Actually, so people say, well, I got rid of most people on the list. That's what you want to do. You want to read the list down.
Should reveal the list. I don't think you should reveal the list.
The criteria.
I think this subject of what your criteria is needs more development.
No, it doesn't need any development. It's a well thought out list. That's what the JFF need. I watched the JFF. Let me go to my list, people. Cultural diversity. The team is comprised of people from different backgrounds, different environment, different countries. It's important. And Algrimson talked about this, but he thought he has solved it. I'm not sure if he has. Maybe he has. Effective communicator. The person has the ability to clearly convey ideas, tactic, and instructions to player is crucial. And to me, they need to be fluent in English. That's me, as we saw with Emery. And modern coaches today need to communicate well with everybody, actually, especially the JFF. In fact, people, that person should be managing the JFF as much as he manages the players. That's my view. They need to do that, and they won't have a job for long, and they'll be putting
there's your problem. There is your single biggest problem.
Well, that's key. That's the politician. That's the culture. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but you see, the issue is you're going to have significant, strong egos and ideologies within the JFF itself.
Tony, the longest running coach for Jamaica is who? Who is the longest running coach by a country mile? Theodore Whitmore. There's a reason for that. The longest running coach from a country mile. There's a reason for that, people. It's not by chance, right? Look at the Schaefers of the world. Look at the Huggins of the world. Look at, even though Donaldson was Jamaican, look at Donaldson, for example, who had two different stints. Renee Simonis came and left and came back and left again and probably want to come again. And the third time, I don't think the third time is going to work, actually. I don't think the third time is going to happen. Let me just go to the list. I won't go to the details of the list, but I'm going to run out the headlines. Adaptable and flexible. Strong leadership skills. Obviously, deep technical knowledge and tactical knowledge. Should be focused on player development, especially the locally born players, the ones not playing overseas. Emotional intelligence. Technology savvy. Algrimson said he lists a lot of data and information. That's important. The coach will leverage that. Creative coaching approach, because that's important, especially when you have difficult situations. You talk about Arteta's game management, Tony, or Hugginson's game management, lacking ability to delegate, have to have a strong bench, people with effective challenge. We can challenge them about what they say. When they're going to make changes, the right change. Somebody can say, Coach, I don't think that's the right change. They listen to that person. Somebody they listen to, right? Those are some of the key organizational skills. They're fundamental criteria, but they should be, when you're doing an interview, you should be probing into each of these areas as the interviewer to garner information that inform your view as you're assessing the candidates. You should be having specific questions in each of those. It should be a 2, 3, 4 hour interview with deep insight into facts, circumstances, situation, what you have done, real life experiences to inform that. And you're going to have the person's resume and the rest. And you could also should do some due diligence about who can you talk to about the person when you narrow your list down. But anyway, that's my perspective, Tony. Similar to what I use in the corporate environment, but I'm bringing it into the coaching environment. A little bit different in some respects and some things, because some information are much more transparent and open. When you're in corporate environment, you don't have some of the information you have. You can get information from people, but it's not the same, because in the public environment for coaches, it's out there. A lot of it's out in the open. You don't have to look too far. Some you have to go behind the scenes to get information, because the public persona may not represent the behind the scene persona. So that's my view. But I have details for each of those areas, people. So, but no, I think a lot of people are interested in the process. And you hear I heard there's 25 names on growing, whatever the number is. I'm hearing now, whatever that number is, even though the person I reached out to said, I wish they gave me the list. So I'm trying to get the list. I wouldn't have broadcasted this, by the way, people. If I got the list, I wouldn't have broadcasted this. Because I don't believe in putting people's name out there when they probably want to keep their name confidential as being part of the process, right? And here's another thing, too. If you are, say you have a job at Brighton or a job at Arsenal and you're going for a role, you don't want to have the broadcast your name so you're going for the role. So it must be a bunch of people who don't have no jobs. It must be a bunch of people who don't have no jobs. You have their name put out there. No, a lot of times that's what it is. No, if I'm coaching in the US, why would I want my name? So there's a different thing. If my name is on the list because this country want to pursue me, it's different from my name is on the list because I reach out for the job.
Okay, so let me give you the example. In the NFL, yeah, you have head coaches.
Right.
Everybody who's an assistant coach, a positional coach, wants to be a head coach.
Yes.
So everybody's in a job with the aspiration to be a head coach. Yeah. So the same applies in football.
No, this is different. This is different between assistant versus a head coach. I'm talking about people who are in head coach roles, not some assistant who's aspiring for it. That's a little bit different story. Because your name can put in a basket. So if Tony's coaching New York Giants and Tony put him for a job for the Washington Redskins, you think New York's going to like that? Right? The New York fans are going to like that? That's not working. That would not work. That would not work. If you're an assistant and you're good, your name is going to be on every list. Everybody's list. Because they're going to say, you know what? Tony's excellent. We want Tony to coach when I have an opening. Yeah.
Because I tell you where there's opportunity here. I'll name a name. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is currently one of the coaches at England. He's working with Gareth Southgate at the Euros right now. He has managed his own teams in the championship. He's got his UEFA licenses. He could approach you, or you could approach him.
Yeah, but he's an assistant. He's still not a head coach.
He's not a head coach.
He's still not the head coach. He can, of course, he can pursue a job. In fact, he probably told Southgate, "Look, if a head coach job comes up, I'm going to look into it." Yeah, nothing's wrong with that. I'm talking about people who are, because I would assume the JFF is going to want a resume of people who have done there and done that, who may be either have been head coaches, so they're unemployed, or they're employed as head coach. I assume that's what they're going to go for. Because we're trying to go for a World Cup campaign. We're not looking for junior people. We don't have time to groom people. You only have 2 years left. In fact, less than 2 years, because we play Nations League September. Next year it starts. You're trying to go there now. You want test and tried, but also don't want somebody who's probably around who are seasoned. I call them. I don't want people who are too seasoned. So I hear names like Sam Allardyce and McLaren. I'm saying, to do what? What are they going to be doing? They don't want him in England. Why we want him here? I don't want to be negative on Sam Allardyce and all that, but we know what kind of football Sam Allardyce plays, even though he complains that's not what he plays. That's what he plays, Sam. We don't want Steve Bruce. We don't want those coaches. No, I'm sorry, we don't. We don't want a figurehead. We want people innovative, creative, young, accomplished, who we come in, can liaise with the players, can understand the players. Because nowadays players are different from older players. They're just different, have different values, different way of operating. So anyway, that's my view on the coaching. I hope the process goes well. I hope we identify someone, I wouldn't say quickly, because I think we have a little bit of time. I hope that person is giving more latitude than the last one. I hope they can travel and go to England. I heard someone said, I forgot where it was, that, you know what? I heard as part of his going away in the paper that they're saying that he had concerns about the process of getting people with with ancestry or people who had lineage in Jamaica being able to get their papers, and the JFF didn't necessarily proactively support that. I don't know if that's true or not. Some people say that's not true, but I think we have to do a better job of sourcing talent from where the talent resides that's good enough to play on the team. I think we have to do a better job of that. The recruiting process needs to improve. Yes, sir.
So I have to go back to a point you made in your list of wants. Player development.
Yeah.
I have an issue with that because
and I knew you would, but I'm explaining why. But go ahead. I would with international coach too. Because clubs develop players, not international coach, but there's a reason. There's a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense. I mean, you're getting a head coach to do the job for the first team, the international senior team of Jamaica. Right. Why would that coach be asked to do anything other than focus on that team, right, and leave the under 23s, the under 18s to the coaches who are currently working with those teams?
So that's unique. I don't think it's unique to Jamaica, because I saw Hendricks for Brazil yesterday, number 17. Not Brazil yesterday. Whenever he played, barely touched the ball. They wanna force local Brazil players into the team, so they leave out people like Jesus. It didn't work, people. When you try to force people into something that they're not ready for, it didn't work. Because Jamaica almost mandate that some younger players who play in the JPL, for example, like a Dixon, be in the team, then that coach will be able to work with young players to help them develop, right? Because they probably are raw in some respects, but have great attributes in other respects. So that part of it will become is innate to the job, given the nature of how the team structure and how we operate. We want some players who are locally based to be part of the squad. They probably didn't get their best coaching growing up, so you got to be able to provide some of that coaching to them and develop them. It's part of it. So it's almost like you're international coach, which is not your job to develop players. It's not, but you may have to have some of those attributes. In fact, you should have that in your repertoire anyway, right? As you grow through as a coach and you develop as a coach, you have that. And those players you bring in who are very raw, like a Hendricks for Brazil, they need to be developed. And the club level may not help them. So that's what I'm saying, people. At the outset, I talk about the JFF and how it works. It's important you understand what your mandate is. What is my mandate? Contractually clarified, verbally clarified, and there can be things outside the contract which are not stipulated, which you also have to understand to be effective in the role. Also, and people may not think it's ancillary. I don't think it's ancillary. I think it's innate to the job. So anyway, so it's going to be interesting, Tony, how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing
know
that
yourself,
I thought
Tripoli, Sean, bless up. Go ahead.
The other thing that I thought might be difficult is the delegation aspect.
Delegation of what? Oh, you mean I said delegate when you? But I do think every coach delegate. Arteta delegates quite a bit.
Yeah,
actually.
of course.
Every manager delegates.
He's got a very good team around him. But
that's what I said before, which is you have to make sure the right people with the right skill set, right technical ability, and they're given specific jobs to execute. Because I thought the coach didn't really have that in his last role. The last coach.
You know, when you mentioned Arteta has a team that, he's very good at some of that. The problem is where the team around you that isn't your team are unable to do what you are asking them to do.
So Tony, some of the team will not be your team. Let me tell you that how JFF works. People, everything we're touching on here don't bring this to fore. The players you may not think should be in your squad, they're going to be in your squad. The team you have, there'll be local coach. Look, there's some reason for that, right? I want a local coach to develop. I want to see how you operate in that environment. I want to groom them. But they may not have the right level of skill set you need as a coach, given what you want them to do. You still got to have them on your team. So what role do I put them in? Do I just have them shadow me and learn from me? Do I give them specific things to do? Your job is to, when you're at the field, you watch the midfielders, how they're operating. When we talk about these things, you're the one. What's your role supposed to be? You got to give them a role that fits their skill set, but you also have to help enhance those skill sets. So it's a unique job. It's a unique job. People don't think it's just an everyday job because I'm a coach, I'm a marine, I come in and things gonna work. Nah, that's not how it works. And international football doesn't give you the latitude and the time that you need sometimes to be as effective as you may need to be, like a club coach does. It doesn't. It's a point in time event. I have 2 weeks. I have 1 week. I have 3 weeks. And they go back to their club. And I'm struggling to just get things right and get them on the field to play, much less all the other things I have to manage. So how do I set myself up for success as best as possible, given all the other distractions I have to deal with? Because the JFF is not easily managed. I know people in the JFF may not be happy with me. You're not easily managed. You're hard to manage. Hard to manage. It's like trying to manage George Steinbrenner when you run the Yankees. Right? I mean, you can't manage George. George, rest his soul. You can't manage him. You're going to have to deal with that. So it's going to be interesting. Here's what I think is a good example. And people may not agree with me, but you know what? That's not new. Give me a club in England you think, you know what? They do this really well. Tell me a club who does this really well in England. Really well. One of the best run clubs in England. Tell me. I'm asking you. Tell me one of the clubs, the best run clubs in England right now. One of the best run clubs. They're in the Premier League.
Brighton.
Exactly. One of the most profitable clubs in the Premier League. When they hire you, Tony, they have 2 other candidates they have on the wing. When they hire you, they have your successor in mind. They probably reach out to your successor to say, look, something come up, we're going to think about you. One of the most profitable clubs. You look at their financial statements.
Yeah.
Profitable as heck. Know what players they want. Know what they have a strategy. They have a process. They execute really well. They lose a coach. They make sure you pay them to take their coach. And they have a coach right behind, coming behind. Brilliantly run. Look where they come from. They come to the Premier League from the Championship. They skipped a beat. One of the best runs in the world, not just the Premier League, frankly. Nail on the head. Brighton. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you need people in management seat to manage your business, because your management can be even more useful than your players, because your manager going to source the players. You're going to put the right coach to work with those players, and they're going to be effective. And Brighton has been an amazing story. I've been watching them for years. Amazing story. They're not even threatening relegation anymore, Tony. They're far from that.
Oh,
and they buy these 5-year-olds and groom them, sell them on for a lot of money, and reinvest the money in their clubs. Amazing. While the other big clubs that are finishing where they're finishing and spending hundreds of millions. But anyway, it's a really interesting time for Jamaica football. And hopefully they get it right this time. And hopefully everybody, as Tony alluded to, can manage their egos, because egos can be a killer. Right? Everybody think you're a big coach. You've been there, done that. A little island with some people. You go there with your chest all out, and they're thinking, look, we've been in first world. We've been around first world. We're part of FIFA. We're educated in the States. We know what we're doing. Don't come tell us what to do. Just come and coach a team and keep it running. When we tell you something, just do what we tell you to do. Don't talk back. That's not a run for a big coach. Anyway, that's for the coaching people. Hopefully we don't have to. We start with what I was going to start with last, but as Tony says, maybe it was a good way to. And I know when you guys call in, you're going to go back to it. So we're going to run through some other stuff. So what's your view today? Let's start with COPA, Tony. And by the way, people, as I said before, Tony and I, we're trying to figure it out. We're going to do watch-alongs for COPA and Euros, the semifinals. So we're doing all 4 games. I don't know how Tony's going to do it. I know I'm going to do it because it's 3 o'clock my time. It starts. I know Tony's going to do it. It's going to be late London time. But Tony said we should do this, so we're going to do it. I follow what my partner says. Oh, Lord, Gunner's boss. See, we're getting a call already. And Gunner's boss came. I'm going to take the call. I normally don't take the call yet, but I'm going to take the call. Gunner's boss, good evening. Because this is going to be a long one, Tony. Good evening, Gunner's boss.
Drop the link because I want to be in on this conversation, because crikey, man, I never hear so much hard sake come out of your mouth. Man, who I'm a general. I respect you 100%. And nobody I tell you that. I mean, I tell you that based on your military service, your decency as a man, and all them things, you're real G. But God, man, you got to do better than that, dog.
Wait, before you finish. Wait for you finish. No, me on the program. Me talk in the program. So are you perturbed because my views don't align with yours? I love that. I'm so happy to hear that.
No, of course, that's why we want to have this conversation, Kranky. And this is a very important conversation, and we need to have it.
Okay.
And I'm glad we are having it.
Okay.
Yourself, what I wanted to do was, I didn't want to talk over you. I just wanted to shout out to your panel. The second person on the panel.
Yes, Tony. It's Tony. Tony.
Tony. London Tony.
Yes.
Him not hear me.
He's hearing you. He's hearing you. He's hearing you. He's hearing you. He's hearing you.
Like, you know,
no, he give you thumbs up. He probably think you're watching the program, but
yeah, no. What it was I respectfully put myself on mute so that there was no surrounding sounds while you were talking. So yeah, respect, man. Gunners boss. I know.
And you didn't name him Gunner's boss, which he probably should change because it has a certain connotation to it. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, let me tell you something. Gunner was a Navy pilot. Just leave it right there. Say no more.
All right.
Leave it right there. Okay. No. Kranky.
Yes.
I agree with Tony and this. You cannot demand that list of things from one coach. You are trying to get one coach to be 20 coach, and it's difficult. What you need to do is give the coach a budget, give him the team, and run it and make all the other people them stand out of it and let this man run his team independently. While you are coming to about, man, yes, if the coach wants to make this change and somebody's supposed to can tell him that he's not running the team if he cannot make his own substitution. He knows what the team wants, and whether they win or lose, it's his job to make his changes when he is ready, sir. Number one. And that's two things. I'm going to touch one.
No. I'm going to stop you after each. No. I'm going to stop you after each. I never said that.
All right, stop me after this one.
No. You're erroneous in what you just said. I said the coach has to maintain autonomy, even though it's being political. I have my list here. My list is etched in stone. I can send it to the audience to see what it says here. It says he has to maintain his autonomy, even though he's being political. I say nothing about him can make his own changes. I have no idea what you're talking about. You hear what you want to hear, because you know what? You listen. You know what you listen? You hear what you want, you just run with it. Yeah, go ahead.
You said, Kranky, said if he is making a change, someone's supposed to be telling him no, like a substitution.
No. But here's the point. No. I didn't say the JFF. I'm talking about on your bench. So, for example, if Tony's the coach, I'm the assistant. Tony said, take up. Listen, Gunners boss, listen, Gunners boss. Let me explain now. Tony said he's going to take off. Okay, let's use real life situation. Hargreaves is on the bench. He wants to take out Bernard. He wants to take off Gray. And he come to the assistant and said, I'm going to make this change. And I said, boss, I don't think so. I think you should consider XYZ. That's what I'm seeing. We didn't have a dialogue. And then he has to make the final decision. He'll do what he wants to do, but he respects me enough to say, you know what? Maybe I'm right. Let me reconsider. That's the point I'm making. You take it to say, somebody going to tell him can't do this. No, that's not what I meant. What I meant is that it's a conversation. It's a discussion. I respect my assistant's perspective. They see something I'm not seeing because I'm so into the game. I'm going to leverage them. That's why they're on the bench, as they shouldn't be on the bench. And by the way, Gunners boss, that's why I manage my team in the corporate environment. So I operate that way, actually. So go ahead, Gunners boss. Go ahead, Gunners boss.
No, I understand you, but you did not say his assistant coach or something. So you make it clear. So I understand. I agree with that. It's like the other day when he made those two defensive change when the defense shouldn't have touched.
Right.
Somebody, his offensive coordinator or somebody, if he have those kind of people, should have said, no, coach, that's the wrong move. That, I know you like defense, but I know defense we need to touch right now. Your defense I play great. Give me some offense, man, that we need. If that's what you said,
yes, exactly. And here's the thing. He may still go ahead and make his decision, but at least I know he took my advice. I know he understood it, but he believed based on whatever it is that he utilized to make a decision. If you have no filter, if you have no challenge, then you're on your own. And the best way to make a decision is good. Can my decision stand up to scrutiny? And if I get feedback on my decision and that feedback contradicts what I'm doing, I got to think about it. But you know what? Is it the right decision?
Okay then. My apologies for that. I'm still coming for your neck with another thing we are talking about. This thing about a national team coach job.
Right.
You can't call Mr. Wenger or we have to say them, because of them, me hear the people them say, Manchester United fans want Arsene Wenger. Liverpool fans want the last coach Liverpool fired, are the one they have actively working now. Arsenal fans want Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, Manchester United, and so on and so on. Manchester City want the coach will just leave. And that's how I see it go, because them not understand that this is national football. And these men have bigger jobs can get bigger jobs than coaching a national team, and they will not come to Jamaica, whether they're working presently or not. So when we're looking for a coach, we have to look for a coach based on his, I would say, based on his record. Am I phone act up?
No, we're hearing you clearly.
You hearing me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, man. My coach, you have to look for your coach now based on his record or his success. Based on his record, coaching national programs or domestic programs where you're looking for. Like say if you look at Jamaica, me no say me not look for Mr. Steve, but that him me I look for first. If me I go look over foreign, you go look for who? A man like Timothy Bradley or one of them man if you are looking at America, right? And so on. So we have to look for coaches who have done good with national program who out of job right now, because I don't think none of these coaches who they are talking about, as Tony said, is presently working and looking for a job to coach the national team same way. Whereas if them are coaching a big club as a first or a second coach.
Yeah, so here's the attribute I have that you just alluded to. I call it results oriented. Must have a history of accomplishments, including delivering positive outcomes at a major club or clubs and or international level. Resume should command respect of the players.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like, I believe the players have respect for this coach based on the fact that he already took Little Iceland to the World Cup. Something went wrong there, and I don't think it have nothing to do with the player or whatever. Something went wrong there drastically. We're not really litigating that. What it is what it is now. We're looking forward now. Yeah. So with that said, we don't need a national coach to come and coach I have any assistant or development of football. We have Cavaliers, Arnett Gardens, but we start from high school, no man. So we have KC, we have all of these, and we have all the Phoenix Academies and the Mount Pleasant advertisement. May I get them for free, so I make sure to join Kranky live and drop a super chat or call Kranky and pay him for the commercial one I get academy. Phoenix and the whole because we're not develop no player we pick from. And that's what I do. We're not doing nothing for us. The clubs are not doing nothing, and nobody is doing nothing. We're not even doing nothing to yourself. Because we shouldn't even have, if football progressive, we should even go over foreign to go look about coach. But here, Kranky come here now, I come talk about. We should go get coach from foreign to come. The coach national team and come help develop.
When the Kranky say foreign coach? When the Kranky say foreign coach?
Any coach at all. National coach, I said, sir.
Yeah, national coach. National coach, yes.
National coach duty, as Tony said, is to coach our national team. So on prepare all the people them on prepare locally and in the diaspora. On give the coach good quality players to pick from so he can develop a system with those players and play them. Not when we don't have any. I'm going to fire every coach when we don't get these results, because we're not going to get great results without good players. And that's what I look for. And next thing what Kranky said, the coach have to, we can't take a coach like, you call a few names.
I said Steve Bruce and Sam Allardyce. Yes, I mentioned those two names.
Say we don't want them, right?
No. We can't talk for no. Me no want them. Okay. I do not want them.
Me don't know them, but how we are going to say we don't want them to England, no want them, but we still have grab the players them when England are refused to take. And them thing they don't have to talk. You have to think before you act, because me and you have this conversation every day. If we are going to take a reject, if we are going to take a coach where England are reject, we can take the players them when England no want.
No. Gunners boss, you go off on this tangent. Here's the difference. We want those players. We don't like those coaches' coaching style. Nothing to do with them. We don't like their coaching style. We don't want to play low block football. It's about their strategy that they've employed historically. It's not about them as human beings or their coaching acumen. The way they play, we don't want a style of play. So maybe make that clear. I have nothing against Steve Bruce or McLaren or anyone. It is that today's contemporary modern football, to me, should be possession-based football. Go ahead, Tony. Tony, want to say something? Go ahead, Tony.
So I think you have a huge problem. Because you said you don't want no low block minded manager.
Right.
Look at football around the world today. Yeah. The Euros and the Copa America are classic cases where teams that have got stacked full of stars, like your Argentinas, like your Brazils, like your France, like your Spain, like your Italy, like your Netherlands. Yeah, when they come across smaller nations who don't.
I'm Gunners boss. Put your phone on mute, please.
Yeah, it's Alfred. Yeah, I've been seeing you. You know what I mean?
Gunners boss. We're hearing Gunners boss. You're having two conversations.
No, I got behind it. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what went wrong here, Kranky. With the palm video and all them.
I noticed that it says video request. It says all sort of stuff, Gunners boss. You're just so disruptive as usual.
This, I don't know what happened. Dismiss that.
Anyway, right. So let me finish. The issue is this whole thing of not wanting to have a defensive-minded manager who will play low block. You have to realize low block is what works. There are a huge swathe of countries who, when they come up against the big boys, who have got your Neymars and your Zidans and your, you name it, Robinhos, Rafinhas, all that, they just say, okay, low block. We'll sit and catch you on the break. And I've seen it in the Euros and I've seen it in the Copa America over and over again. How many goals in open play did Brazil score?
Yeah, so Tony, here's one of the attributes, Tony. Before you go further, adaptable and flexible. Coaches need to be able to adjust their strategy and tactics based on the strengths and weakness of their team, as well as the changing game situation, as well as the opponent. So here's the thing, Tony. We're playing CONCACAF region, okay? We should have comparable. It's like England playing against France, England playing against Belgium. If England played low block, wouldn't you guys lose your mind against these teams? Wouldn't you lose your mind?
Boy.
There's no team in the world England should be playing low block against. Forget about Jamaica and what we are. No team that should play low block against. Now, here's the thing. Arteta goes to Man City and played low block because actually he shows a little bit flexible, doesn't he? Even though he's second in the league and he's competing, he beat them in the season. He went there and said, you know what, I want results. It doesn't mean that it's a holistic say, you know what, you can only play offensive football. Sometimes you have to dig in, right? What we're saying is that we don't want the coach primary thing is to play a low block football. We don't want Marino football where Spurs run him, or Conte football where Spurs run him and say, you know what, we can't take this anymore. We win a trophy. We don't want it that bad. You got to go. That's how some coaches are.
But you know what? Defensive-minded coaches get results. Defense will win you a league.
No. What we're saying, Tony, we want to play possession football.
Yeah, you could have. You want to play possession.
You mentioned T. No, T. You know teams you mentioned T. Play in the Euros. I see them. The Slovakia, Slovenians. They try to play possession football.
I get that. I get that. Yeah, but also look at some of those teams, your Slovakias and your Slovenias and your, Switzerlands. They can hold a low block.
Yeah, but Tony, it's not. Look. Here's the thing. The misconception about position football is that
when you're in defensive mode, you can say to a team, play low block, 10 men behind the ball. Yeah.
But Tony, here's a misconception about position football. It's also about defense and offense in a possession football. When I have the ball, I'm resting. You're chasing me. That's playing defense in a sense. Because you know what? I'm protecting the ball. I'm keeping the ball. You can't get the ball. The misconception about position football is that it's only offensive football. No, that's what Guardiola using, running to the ground, and then he kills you. He recycles the ball. You got to go chase him. You're out of position. He creates angles and creates holes and creates situations. You got to be able to keep the ball in today's football. Here's another thing, Tony. So we played Ecuador, and we played low block for the first 30 minutes and got killed. They go 2-0. We take one of our low block defenders, put him in midfield, and the whole game changed. Some people talk about the tackle change game. No nonsense. We put Lati in the midfield and the whole game changed, Tony. All of a sudden, we outpossess Ecuador, which we think we could never do in the second half. Right? Because we have more men in the middle. Gunners boss, boy. Gunners boss, talk. I gotta let you go, Gunners boss, because you're making a lot of noise in the background. Gunners boss?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Say what you have to say, and I have to let you go.
Yeah, man, why you drop the link? They're joining the show.
All right. I'll try to find it and get it to you. If I
drop the link in my drop it in my WhatsApp. Drop it in my WhatsApp. Hey.
I'm gonna try to do that, but I have two different phones now. Anyway, I try to do that.
Yeah, man, you have my number. All right. It don't really matter which phone you use. You have my number.
All right. We'll do that.
Yeah, man.
All There's trepidation of dropping the Gunners Boston because we won't have a show, Tony. But anyway, let's talk about COPA, Tony. Let's talk about COPA. Your views on COPA so far. We'll do COPA first, and then we'll do Euros.
Okay, so let me caveat what I'm about to say, because I think you and I are kind of similar in that our interests peak at the moment of most impact in terms of the quality of the football, which generally tends to be quarterfinal, semi-final, final. Before that, I took very little interest. Yeah, I'll watch the odd game, but I wasn't watching every game. Obviously, there's the time issue. But certain teams, Argentina specifically and Brazil specifically, I was interested in looking at. So the group games kind of went by without any interest. What was most interesting to me was teams like Brazil and Argentina were struggling. Teams that they were playing at group level, at group stages, regardless of whether they were ranked 1 in the group or 4 in the group, they were being very effective in defense and employing very good strategies in how to smother attacks and try to keep efforts at goal to a minimum. It's very interesting because there was a public falling out between Ronaldinho and the Brazilian Football Federation.
One second, Tony. I have to put this up, people. Miguel, thanks for my first super chat. I appreciate that. Miguel has the distinguished position of being given the first super chat on Kranky Live, Miguel. So you make history. Thank you, Miguel. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Tony.
Thank you, Miguel. So there was a public falling out between Ronaldinho and Brazil, and he was quoted as saying that this was possibly the worst Brazil team in history. And I gotta be honest, I think he's right.
But Tony, let me stop you there. It could be because Brazil have produced great sides, but we have Guimarães, we have Paqueta, we have Vinicius Jr., we have Rodriguez. They all play for top teams, except for maybe the kid and the right and left back. The centre halves play for PSG and Real Madrid. What are we missing? What are we missing?
And the goalkeeper is from Man City.
2 goalkeepers are world-class goalkeepers. What are we missing?
Yeah. And you know what? What you saw with Brazil is what we've been saying about England. You have potentially 11, well, probably about 15 or 16 of the world's best players. And both teams played boring football. And both teams were negated by extraordinary defense.
Right. Gunners boss, you gotta go on mute because you know I come on camera. You don't know why you could say one come on the stream for, and you're on the phone, you come on and you go on mute. You gotta put your phone on mute until you're talking. Go ahead, Tony.
So yeah, I mean, my interest doesn't really peak until quarterfinal stage. So that's when I started to really get involved and to start to look at, closely how teams were playing, because that's the point when you've got rid of the minnows in the competition. But yeah, the quality has not been there. I'm looking at the COPA and I'm looking at the Euros. I would say in both competitions, I've only really been attracted to the football of Spain. Germany, to a certain degree, was a shame that they had to meet Spain in the quarterfinal. Yeah, I would say those 2 teams. I've not been impressed by any other team. Uruguay had a good win the other night. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, man. I know I was on mute. I wasn't trying to talk yet. I was just
No.
No, I'm good. I'm good now. So let me just say this. The COPA has come. I thought I was watching an NFL game when I'm watching COPA. I think it's NFL they're playing. The US tried to match Uruguay. Was it Uruguay they played? Yeah. And they got broken up. Bagan had to come out the game. they got broken up. They got beat up, actually. Like, really beat up. Like, really bad beat up. I mean, half their players probably were injured when the game is over. The tackle on Rodrigo when they played, was it Colombia that Brazil played?
Panama.
Crazy. No,
they didn't play. Brazil, USA played Bolivia. They won against Bolivia.
And they played Colombia. They played Colombia instead of Uruguay.
And then they lost to Panama. And the last game they lost to Uruguay.
So they played the Uruguay I'm talking about, which is the game was because Uruguay plays hard and run hard, right? Was physical. The US game against Panama, well, they got a red card in one of those games. That's what cost them. They would have made the second round to me. They got a red card. They would have done it instead of Panama. But their game against, I mean, they get beat up in some of those games. They couldn't handle the physicality. It's not what they do. They're a finesse team. It became very difficult for them, right? The game between Brazil and Colombia, oh my Lord. I thought I was watching an NFL game. I thought it was an NFL. I mean, it was that physical. The South America, the referees allow so much. Half those things were, if they're playing in the English Premier League with referees, they get red cards, yellow cards. It was crazy, the tackles. And here's what I found interesting too, Tony. That the players who play in the EPL adapted to that environment. Right? Look at the Brazil team, the other team, the one who played, the Caicedos of the world one, they adapted. They play the same physical way. Even some of the finesse players were playing physical. And the kid got a wake-up call. Hendricks got a wake-up call. He was getting clattered, run over, run to his back, elbow in his back. You know, like I saw Neymar got in 2014 World Cup when Colombia put him out the World Cup. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm not sure why they allow all of that. And I think Canada has done brilliantly, by the way. I saw Canada against Argentina when they lost. They got most of the better chances early. But Canada scored 2 goals in 20 minutes. They can't score, but they're getting chances after chance after chances. So it's encouraging for the rest of CONCACAF, the way Canada played against Argentina in the first game. We'll see how they do in the next game, which should be a good game. Yeah. So, look, COPA has not produced the level of football. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
The football hasn't been watchable.
It has not. It has. I mean, you look at 4 quarterfinals, 3 of them went to penalties.
Yeah.
You know, Uruguay and Brazil, a 0-0 game that was awful.
Awful football. Like, I don't even know what to compare it to. It's a 0-0 NFL game where defense dominated and people just run to each other and clatter over each other. Just the football it's horrible. It should be better, people. And Brazil must be. I don't read Portuguese. I haven't listened to Brazil press. I don't know what they'll be saying anyway. But they must be losing their minds. Because I think they're like 6th in their World Cup qualifiers now. Venezuela's ahead of them.
Yeah. I mean,
and Uruguay, they're not doing well.
You know, their games prior to this tournament, they didn't win a game.
They can't play without Neymar. They can't play without Neymar. No matter what you want to say, when Neymar is there, I think he gives them all hope, actually. I think they all play off him. So, yeah, it's interesting, actually. It's interesting. But hopefully, the semifinals and finals will be better. I don't see it. I like the Colombia team, by the way. And here's an interesting thing, Tony, which is the Colombia team don't have a lot of name players, right? You have the Diaz of the world, but you look at their team, you can't name half their team, frankly.
Yeah.
Playing in the big leagues, and they haven't lost since February 2022.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about team football, and, you know, it should give other teams encouragement when they're playing a lot in South America. They're playing, I think Ecuador has 14 players that play MLS or something, some ridiculous number. And they did well against Argentina. So there's encouragement for teams which may not have players at the highest level, that you can play team football and play at a certain level and still do well against these better teams.
Yeah.
Colombian and Uruguay, to me, look really good. And BL says that the game with Uruguay because they run all game, Tony. They don't get tired. I don't know how you do that, by the way. I don't know how you run for 90 minutes continuously in a physical environment and be okay after that game. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's an aspect of the modern game that is so required. I mean, obviously, yesteryear we had footballers could play for, you know, the 120 minutes extra time, and, you know, didn't have the same kind of speed and physicality that, you know, sometimes we see today. But, you know, it's one of them things that we look at. Sports science is the key to a lot of this running.
So
You know,
I gave the link to one person, and now I see two. You know, there's a way you don't come back on my stream. I don't understand it. How did somebody else come on the stream? Where did CC Sport? I don't know a CC Sport. I know I sent the link to one person, but anyway, I'm confused. But that's how it goes. It's just confusing. So let's go.
Kranky,
Yes.
I messed up because I could not open the stream from where you sent it. So I copied it and I pasted it in my WhatsApp group. It looked like that's what
You
Kranky.
pasted in your WhatsApp group. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
me never, but I did not realize that I post it back to you. But now that you said that, I understand how CC get on. I thought I send it back to you to open it up.
Good evening, CC.
Good evening. Hold on. I noticed the Kranky just said Kranky saying don't know a CC Sport. It's okay.
I haven't seen you in forever. I don't know what CC Sport is. I know CC. I don't know CC Sport. Since when you became CC Sport?
Yes, CC Sport exists long time, man. It's just that active.
Okay.
No,
So
CC,
what's your thoughts on what's your thoughts on, so a group may join us. What's your thoughts on COPA?
I don't think so.
What's your thoughts on COPA?
My thoughts on the COPA so far. I think even going into the COPA, I already thought Colombia, Uruguay, and Argentina are the best teams in South America right now. Even probably for the past 3 years, I think the football that Uruguay is playing under even Bielsa is very good in terms of the personnel that they have and everything. I think Bielsa's attacking aggressive style, and I think with the personnel that are there, like the Fede Valverdes and those guys, they have quite a number of talents. For Colombia, I think Colombia is probably been the most exciting team. I think what you had mentioned, Kranky, when you're talking about the amount of players that are actually not actually playing on the continent are not necessarily playing in Europe. I think Colombia have 10 guys, if I'm not mistaken, that plays on the continent. Five of those guys plays in Brazil. Coincidentally, I think Uruguay has five Flamengo players. Five players that are playing for Flamengo in the Brazilian league. And if you look at Brazil doesn't have a player outside, I think, Henrik, that is playing in the Brazilian league. So you have club.
Doesn't the left back play in the league? I thought the left back did also. The left or right back, one of them. Yeah, I think the left back does, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
I think the coach they wanted more local players in his team too.
So when you're looking at it, you're looking at a Uruguay who is playing this type of football. You know, Brazil won the last five Copa Libertadores. I think a Brazilian club has won the Copa Libertadores 5 times straight now. So that means they're dominating the whole regional tournament. Their version of what we'd call the Champions League in Europe. But yet still, a lot of these players are not translating.
Well, they're not Brazilians. You're telling me how much players for who they're probably not Brazilians. They're probably Colombians, Ecuadorians, Uruguayans.
But some of them are not Brazilians. But the thing about it is that these very teams that are playing well in the continent, the Uruguay and the Colombia, a lot of their players are playing in Brazil. So I'm thinking that Brazil probably have to look at themselves and examine and say, if the Uruguayans and the Colombians are coming here, playing the game, and then moving forward, they are translating that to their senior team. And us now, when they're looking at it, majority of our players are in Europe. I think Brazil had 8 players in Premier League. But when you look at it, the 8 players that are playing in the Premier League, I think only Gabriel Martinelli plays for a Big 6 club, if I'm not mistaken. Outside.
Well, I mean, Newcastle was Big 4 last year, right? So Guimaraes played there.
I mean, they're in the...
Man City wanted Paqueta. So we can't... I mean, PSG has a player. Real Madrid have 3. Their players are spread out against big teams.
No, but you have players from Wolves starting getting game.
Yeah, I mean, Gomez, yes, but Gomez is an aberration. I don't know why Gomez is on the team, frankly, but that's another story. I think Brazil have too much politics in their team also. There's no reason Jesus should not be in that team.
Yeah,
There's no reason Jesus should not be in the team.
then that's the thing too. I think Gabriel Jesus should have made the team. I think
Yeah.
when you're looking at even some of the player setup, I think Richarlison, not bringing Richarlison, I think Richarlison have strength and physicality where he might not look like the traditional number 9, but I think he would have in a team that is lacking even goals. I think Richarlison have 20 goals. Richarlison have quite a number of goals to Brazil now.
No, he played well in the World Cup, actually. He played well in the World Cup. He played,
but
I mean, he scored that scream in the World Cup. He played well in the World Cup.
The other day
They bring a 17-year-old kid who's not ready. I'm sorry, he's not ready.
Yeah,
especially to play against a very physical team like they played the other against Uruguay. You can't bring a 17-year-old.
They should have brought Richarlison in the kids spot. It's just one of those things. Like Hendrick is just not ready, but because Real Madrid has bought him from the age of like 16, it's like he's now your poster child out there in the world. Estavo Willian, I think Estavo Willian is a better player than Hendrick right now for me, the one that Chelsea bought, and he did not go. They did not call him. So
Travis, we're not saying he's not good. Nah. We're saying he's not at the level he needs to be. We're not saying he's not good. Not because when you play against Uruguay, you're gonna look like you can't play football the way they play football. You have no room to breathe. People need room and space, especially when you're young to play football. You have no time, you have no space. You're getting kicked all game. It's difficult.
And then guess what? The field is much more compact than even some of these players would have probably been used to. Remember, the field was reduced to a 100 by 64.
Yeah, five. They're taking on 5 yards on each end. So
they take on 5 yards on each end. Even Vinicius looked a bit stifled because he's used to playing in the Champions League on much bigger pitches. He's used to playing at Santiago Bernabeu on a much bigger pitch. So, and then a majority of these European clubs have 105 by 68. I understand. So his game is predicated on dribbling and taking on and finding that extra space. And when you can't find that extra space in these games, it's frustrating. But for me, I think when you look at the players that Brazil, like when you look at the overall talent that Brazil is putting out there, I mean, we can probably put it down to coaching, Kranky. Brazil coaching has not necessarily followed suit with the rest of the world. If you notice, the Brazilian coaches, how much Brazil coaches is being exported as much as their players.
Yeah, but CC, we can say that about a lot of countries.
Yeah, and is that necessarily a bad thing, CC? Because when we consider that Brazil, that South American football is insular, its stars might leave the country, but its infrastructure stays within it. And that has been successful for decades, for, as far back as I can remember. South American teams have done what they do in secret, away from Europeans, away from North Americans, and they've been successful at negotiating, putting together teams that work no matter where you play them. And it now seems that factory of understanding the games and the needs of the game is being called into question.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna leave COPA because this is a 2-hour program, not a 3-hour program. 2 hours. We finish it at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Tony gotta go to bed because it's 1-something in England. So we're gonna go to Euro 2024, people. Yes.
Before you go to Euro, CC said something earlier. I want to quiz him something about it. CC, you said there is no one player from the Brazilian Premier League team.
Oh, we lost
he
it.
Froze. Maybe maybe the Lord save us.
No, it's here. Are you all right now?
You come back. Anybody hear me too? You might hear me. Go ahead.
Yeah, man.
I think Kranky mentioned that there's probably 2, but I think there's not much more than that.
No, go ahead, Gunners Boss. Go ahead.
So let me ask you a question based on that, CC. Are the Brazilian recruiting players from overseas, or is players who they develop and left their system and went and play in Europe and other part of the world? They call back the best of the best. They call back to play for them. That is the question I want to ask you, because with me, you have to come clear, make me understand, because If we have 15 players that we sent from our Jamaica Premier League to England and we call them back, they are still Jamaican players, Jamaican-based players. They just get contract and go overseas. So make yourself clear to the audience.
So to answer your question, my thing is that a lot of these players are leaving Brazil before they even play 30 games in a Brazilian league per se. So it's not necessarily say they are not the best that is out there in Europe. But I'm saying to you that they are not immersed in, like I would say, the Brazilian style of play at a senior level to that point before they are immersed in the European way. So when they go to Europe, that's when some of them are playing actually a full season in senior football. And I think that's the pool that Brazil is pulling from. The 3 World Cup finals that Brazil made, they had 11 domestic players in the first 94. They had 9 domestic players in 98, and they had 11 domestic players in 2002. All of those players translated to Europe, but they translated after playing for the senior team and also participating in a World Cup. But nowadays, you participate when you're 16, 17, the clubs are coming and taking you up before you even play for Brazil. So by the time you're playing the first game for Brazil, you're already in Europe. And
Great
that
point.
necessarily wasn't the case before.
Great point. Absolutely fantastic point. 100% agree with you. Makes such a huge difference.
Well, I mean, look, people are buying potential, right? They buy the potential early. They want to bring them over because if you wait until the potential gets to maturity, it's going to be too expensive. And in fact, those potentials are not very expensive.
Look at how many players are falling by the wayside because they've made that choice and it's not worked.
But money talks, Tony. You know money talks.
If we did a deep dive on players who left the any kind of South American league, came to the European teams, remember that Brazilians are everywhere. That Shakhtar Donetsk had loads of them.
Yes, they go to a place in Europe where it's easier to get into sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
Right, it's hard to get into the more
and as a result
of the world. Yeah.
If you see, 4 of them end up at Real Madrid, there's another 400 that didn't get past that first team that they got to when they came to Europe.
Yeah. And by the way, people, we're just over halfway through the program, but more than halfway through the program. There is I said 3 times I mentioned this. There's 79 likes, 123 people in the comment section. Those numbers don't align. They're mismatched. We need to align them. There should be more likes than people in the comment section because people come and go. So that's my second comment. I'll make another one at the end of the program. So we should transition to Euro because Gunner's boss has to, move things in his way. Gunner's boss there. I have to go have to change direction of travel.
I'm here working with the program, but people, when they see man like me, and CC, Tony, and Kranky company live, and I don't know. We are giving us some service, so I'm give us some service. What's your name? Beryl not stop on from like the video. And I never like it before Beryl. I know Beryl come on the worst and I like it. Come on, do better than that. Do us better, man. Come on, y'all. Do better.
So before I go further, let me mention this because somebody gonna kill me if I don't watch my program. Lewis Hamilton did win the British Grand Prix. I'm gonna talk like I know F1. He hasn't won in 900 something days. Because Max has been doing what to him. And we know Lewis is great. Won 7 straight. They stole one to make the A to beat Schumacher's record. They didn't want to get Schumacher's record because some people stay on. Some people are like that. They keep you from having success, even though they pretend like that's not the case. So they cheated him in the Middle East when he should have won. That race was clear. They should have given the title. They didn't give it to him. He won the other day. He was so happy. I was concerned because he was like 6 seconds ahead. And those seconds kept dwindling down. The race finished just in time, so he didn't lose. And by the way, he has Grenadian ancestry, because I know the person want me to basically make sure that's clear to people. I even talk about Indian food he want to eat. I even talk about Grenadian food, but when he's going to go to eat. But Lewis has been a big advocate, probably, to be serious. Lewis has been one of the individuals who call out certain things in society when they occur, racism and all that. He calls it out with Saturday. He calls it out. Use this platform for the right way. So big up, Lewis. Congrats on your win, and hope you can compete. I know you're leaving Mercedes this next year, but hope you can go Ferrari. But hope you can compete because Max has the better car, and he's playing and he's going really well. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm good. I mean, I'll just sort of back up what you said about Lewis and what he's doing for his culture. You know, he's forged ways for black people to get into Formula One, and it's been very good. You know, I know some people who have come and given talks to some of my children in the black community about the work that they do in F1 as a result of introductions through Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, big ups to Lewis.
Marlon, be careful, Marlon, because Grenadian state is personal. He has Grenadian heritage, Marlon. They take it personal. Be careful. Say my Bermudian heritage. I'm a Bermudian. People take it personal. They like the church. They have their heroes, and he's one of them, and rightly so. So no Bermudian heritage, my Grenadian heritage. And by the way, I'm look it up again, making for coming program. Even though I knew this, I looked it up again just to make sure what I was presenting was the right information. So if it's wrong, people, it's not wrong. So I'm not going to worry about that. But anyway, people, we're going to Euro. We're going to Euro 2024. Tony, no, I'm going to start with CC first.
Yeah, man.
Look at Tony. Go ahead, Gunners boss. Go ahead, Gunners boss.
Let me congratulate Mr. Lewis Hamilton on a great win yesterday. I watched the whole race. I know Baby Lando was not going to beat him. And I know George Russell was not going to win that race. And I don't know what happened to Max yesterday. What happened to Max yesterday? He was struggling or something?
No, Max had problems in the pit. Didn't he have some problem? They made some mistake in his car.
Yeah. Max
they made some mistake in his car.
Yeah, he went to the pit. No, that was Lando. Lando went to the pit and
No. Max had some problems. They did something wrong on Max's car early in the race. That's why he was 7 seconds behind.
Okay. Well, with as Tony said, man, I like what he has done for the culture, and he continued to do it. And listen, I can go on Facebook and look for a post I made 4 years ago, and people was trashing me when I said the moment I see Mercedes start manipulating and messing with Lewis Hamilton car, I know they was sabotaging him. I'm gonna go look for that article and reposted it, my post over there. I know they was messing with him. They didn't want him to be as greater than them, but he is been there. He's the best, the greatest to ever done it, in my opinion, and he can only go further. He is going into, whose car is he going into next year?
I think it's Ferrari, right?
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, they just make sure say Toto Wilf and whoever they name over there. Just make sure they make him a good car so he can go out there and get back on top of this thing next year.
Well, you're gonna bring back Ferrari because they need the help.
They need Ferrari.
They used to be dominant. They're no longer dominant, so they need the help.
And regardless of what Max Vroom has been doing, at the end of the day, Lewis is still the greatest open wheel driver in the history of open wheel racing right now, and he can only get better.
Am I going in age? Am I 39 now? You don't look it, but he's getting up there. All right, so let's go to Euro, people. Euro. Thoughts on Euro today? Go ahead, CC. Your thoughts on the Euros today. By the way, 4 semifinalists: France against Spain, which plays possession football, and France also plays possession football, and then England plays the Netherlands. Go ahead.
Yeah. So with the Euro still, I think, as I said, as I had Spain before the tournament, and I think I'm still going with Spain. I think France set up tactically, I don't think it works for Mbappe, and I think they're lacking in the middle of the park because they have similar midfielders. I think all of the Kante is a defensive midfielder. Chouameni seems like his defensive abilities outweighs his offensive abilities. Kamavinga is a little bit more versatile, but I still see more on the flank and the wing side rather than necessarily through central midfield. So in terms of what they're creating going forward from the middle of the park, I don't see them doing much damage to what Spain would have. Spain in with Fabian Ruiz, Pedri. I think you have Gavi. You have the
Pedri's out, by the way. Pedri's out.
Yeah. All right. So you have Fabian Ruiz. You have Rodri. Rodri right now, I think a lot of people won't accept this, but I think Rodri, if Spain wins this Euro, I think Rodri should be considered for this from Ballon d'Or based on the season that he's had with Man City and what he means to Man City and what he puts in, and then even what he means to Spain in terms of Spain, the way how Spain transition from defense to attack and his coverage that he plays in that role. With the two tricky wingers that they have, I think Nico Williams and Nico Williams and Yamal will be a little bit much for the French. The French hasn't scored a goal from open play at all in the tournament.
Nope.
So you can imagine they have reached the semi-final and they have yet to score from a goal from open play. So I think they're going to find it difficult to score, especially with the way they are set up. Mbappe is not a number 9. He can't play with his back to the goal. I'm not sure what the Deschamps is thinking, because that's not Mbappe's fortitude. So I think Spain should edge that one based on the quality, based on their setup, and I think based on what the coach has infused in them, and especially coming from even their Nations League form. I think they have been true to form.
For the game, who do you think is the most important player on either team?
The most important. So I think the most important player
game decider. You go ahead.
It's going to come down to Mbappe for France, and then I think Rodri is the most important player for
Spain.
He won't be a game decider though, will he? He won't be a game decider.
The game decider will be Nico Williams or Dani Olmo.
Okay.
I'm wondering if they would consider.
But Olmo may not start though.
But
he would start because Pedri's hurt, so he would start.
Yeah, I think they might start him.
Yeah.
But because Morata is the captain, I think Morata is going to always start. But I think the game decider is coming down between Nico and Dani Olmo. I think Yamal is excellent, dribbling, taking on, but his finishing, his end product is not there as yet. You can see the lack of maturity in his end product. And I think that is where I think he's going to be developed more in further years.
I don't care what he's 16. I mean, I'm just thinking, what was I doing?
I know, man.
He's 16.
He's 16 playing like he's 21. So, I mean, you kind of have it like,
he's 16.
Give it up to him.
People digest that, people.
Yeah,
he's 16 starting for Spain, a dominant pole position team.
But we've seen this
program.
We shouldn't be surprised seeing 16-year-olds, because look at Pele at 15, look at Michael Owen at 16, look at Wayne Rooney at 16. If you're good enough, you're old enough.
No, that's true.
Yeah, we expect to see some prodigies come up through these kind of championships. Every championships, somebody comes up that you never expected to see. We sent Theo Walcott back in the day to a World Cup.
But he didn't play a lick. He didn't play one minute.
Didn't, but you see what I'm saying?
In fact, Emerson, what's his name? Never seen him play either. I still picked him, which is crazy. Never seen him play.
But no, I think CC is absolutely right. I think Mbappe is easily France's key man.
I disagree with both of you, but keep going. I'll explain why.
Okay, so I don't see how you disagree with Mbappe for France.
Go ahead. I would. And
as far as Spain is concerned, Rodri is the gel. He's the juice. And look at his season for Man City. He can be a match winner, but even if he doesn't score the goal, he's involved in such a heavy amount of play that you can't not see him being involved in a goal somewhere along the line.
Right. Yeah. Look, Mbappe is probably one of the 3-4 best footballers on the planet. He hasn't turned up for this tournament, whether it's because of the injury or not. To me, for France, Dembele is the player. If he can make better. Hey, Dembele came on the other day. The game changed.
Yeah.
Destroy. Dembele cannot be marked one-on-one. Dembele is ridiculous. The problem with Dembele, when he gets to the 18, is like his brain goes haywire and he doesn't
Same
know
as Yamal.
what to do. Yeah.
Same as Yamal. They both can beat players for fun, but in the 18.
Yeah. Dembele, to me, if he makes the right decision, it's a different. If he starts him, it's a different game.
Hey, I've got a quick question for you, because you and I have had this conversation. So you know where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna ask you.
You're going my boy in Saudi Arabia.
I'm gonna ask you.
Decision making.
Dembele, considering how he falls apart in the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
Or Bukayo Saka, who are you choosing?
Saka.
Look, tell me why here.
No. Here's the thing. Saka is growing on me like a fungus is. More and more. Like fungus. No, Tony, you and I argue with Saka about this, right? In this tournament, like last game, he's beating people down the line. When he plays for us a lot of time, Tony, he goes inside most of the time. He's not beating down the line.
He still
If he
does that.
changes his game, but when he plays for us, 90% of the time he's going inside. He goes right, then he drifts inside. This game, look at the last game he played the other day. Even 2 men are coming, still going down the line, beating them.
You know what it is? He's got that guy inside, Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
When you got that inside, coming inside makes sense.
Yeah, maybe. But for the game he played the other day, he was England's only threat. Only threat. And let's jump to that. For England to keep playing Kane and Foden is criminal. criminal. People, I understand their pedigree. Crane's a brilliant striker. Let's not take from Crane. Brilliant striker. But the man run like he's about 100 years old. He can't run. He can't move. He's stagnant. It looked like he's tired. This is a long season, right? He scored a ton of goals for Bayern. And Foden, even though I rate Foden, he was PL Player of the Year for writers and others. It doesn't work.
But let me give you this, Kranky. I remember stating, I think when the tournament started, the first game they played, I said, based on the speedy wingers that they have the Eze and they have Gardner and they have the Saka and some of these guys. I was saying to someone, Harry Kane, what I've seen, should be on the bench and play Oli Watkins because he looks lethargic. Then I was there because I'm labeled an anti-Kane in terms of Kane. Not I think there are certain deficiencies I have with Kane, but that's a different thing. Kane is an elite striker. However, in this tournament, you can see that it does, like, England's attack right now, to me, when you look at Kane, is been lethargic. So then you have an option in Watkins on the bench. You have even Ivan Toney. So it's like, why are you having these guys and you're not playing them and you're playing Kane when you have to the detriment of even probably losing the match? Kane is coming deep. England has so many midfielders where Kane doesn't need to come deep to be collecting and linking up play. Kane doesn't need to play that role. So if that is the role that Kane is going to play, he should be on the bench.
Here's the problem, CC and Tony, which is they don't have any threat behind from the center of the park or the left side of the park. Saka is the only behind threat. Right? So you can't play the ball over the top. When Alan Watkins came on the game that he played in, he was going down the line. The defense have to either go deep. If you stay up, he's going to get behind you. If you go deep, there's more space created for the 10 and the 8 to play. That's not rocket science. And you watch it again, and I had an overhead view that I made a copy of it thinking, play the ball over the top. Oh, Kane can't go behind, so you can't play over the top.
Yeah.
You can't. And if you have people like Declan Rice, even though Declan doesn't go deep a lot of time, that's probably Declan's flaws in his game, his ability to go deep with the ball with precision. He needs to improve that. But you need that in the game. Right? You need that in the game to change, make the defense have to adapt to what you're doing.
Right now, for me, I would start Anthony Gordon over Foden because of the fact that what Anthony Gordon brings to the game in terms of a winger, Foden is not going to give it up. Anthony Gordon as a winger is better than Foden as a winger. But what Foden...
There's no comparison, frankly. There's no comparison, as far as I'm concerned, because Gordon does get behind. He takes people on. I don't know what Foden's issue is, because Foden's a good player. Let's not get it wrong. He's a very good player. It hasn't worked. But then sometimes I think we have to look at this too, Kranky. I think even when we're discussing world-class players, and we're looking at the players at the club, and we see how Foden fit well in Pep Guardiola's team in Man City. But then when it comes to the international level, for some reason, remember you're getting game, you even started every game in this tournament. But we're still not seeing that type of player that you are at Man City. Bukayo Saka on the other hand, what you see at Arsenal, you're seeing even at the international level, and sometimes you even see an elevated version of that at the international level. Yeah, but even Bellingham to me hasn't been great. Now, he scored a couple of key goals in the tournament, but the Bellingham we see at Real Madrid hasn't been the Bellingham we saw here. You're expecting to dominate some of these games like a Zidane would do, right? You're not seeing that, which is interesting, actually. So is it the coach? Is it the system? Is it the players? What is it? Because England has good players. Saka, Foden, Bellingham, Kane, Rice, they have good players. We thought the defense was the problem for England. We now realize the offense is the problem in this tournament. Look at the defense. Goey, Stone, who to me is not a great defender, but a great underball player. Trippier, who's okay, right? Tottenham got rid of him. Walker's a brilliant defender, right? We thought the back four would have been the problem because they have no Maguire. And we're saying, where's the offense?
And you haven't mentioned possibly the greatest defender out of all of them, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
He can't defend himself.
you know what?
No, brilliant on the ball.
Even,
No, brilliant on the ball. Can't defend himself.
you know what? You got to know
Brilliant
how
on the
to
ball.
use the kid. You have to know how to use that kid.
Well, they
And
try him in
clearly-
they try him in the 8, right? Well, not in the 8. They try him in a half 6, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
gotta know,
You know what? Trent is like. Here's what I put Trent. ESR, Trent, Havertz. Who else? There's another player I was thinking about the other day. There's some players who are brilliant footballers. I don't know where to play them.
So let me give you the Trent. Trent is the upgrade to Zinchenko offensively.
Yes, I agree, but I'm still only playing defensively. I don't know what to do defensively.
Yeah, but you just got to cover that. You just got to cover that. You know, like our Arsenal, you know you're going to get players are just going to whip the ball past Zinchenko.
You know what I think, Tony? I'm going to digress here a little bit. I've always wondered, because to me, all those players, it's 10 or nothing. That may sound strange. And they're not in true 10s. They're not an Odegaard 10 to give me that death ball between the line. I think Trent has 10 abilities. I think Trent, especially with his shooting, Tony, him facing goal on the half turn, Kane laid off to him shoot. He's the best striker of the ball that England has. Even better than Harry Kane, probably. So how do I get him in that position to strike the ball? Because he ain't going to do anything from the right back position. Because he's not a good defender.
Yeah.
I think coaches got to be more flexible about how they treat these players and try them in different positions. And here's my last point on this. Iwobi and Joel Linton are examples where players should be experimented with sometimes, because both of them got their new positions because they went out to 10 men and the coach was forced to put them in a position and realized they could play in that position. Iwobi couldn't score goals. Now he's a midfielder, brilliant in the midfield, frankly. Joel Linton can't score goals as center forward. Same thing. We have a call here. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, Kranky.
Yes.
You know, man, 50-50. Come on.
50-50.
Hey.
Wait, no. 4-3-3 presser, 50-50. You have about 6 names. How am I supposed to call you which name? And by the way, I saw you on your channel, right? I don't know how a host on a channel is never on the screen, but it's always but it's always on the screen.
No, here I know. Here the problem. No, here I know. You see, Kranky, I have a laptop a couple months ago, right? I was always on camera. The laptop mash up, right?
Uh-huh.
So I said, my brother have a laptop, so my father in New York. I start use the camera, and the laptop mash up again.
So you mean your picture is destroying the laptop? Your physical picture? What's happening? I'm confused.
Listen,
your picture is destroying.
I used to do the live stream. I used to always have my camera on, and then the laptop mash up, and so I have to go look. Well, not looking to buy a new one. I definitely have to buy a new one, like a brand new one. So, you know.
Okay. By the way, you do a good job on that program, by the way. But go ahead.
Thank you. You know, I'm always trying to improve, so take the criticism well. But Kranky, before we get into the football discussion, right? I am subscribed to your channel, and I'm trying to comment, and it's not allowing me. It's a subscribers only mode.
But if you subscribe, it's like a 5-minute delay, and then allow you to subscribe to comment.
I subscribed long time. It's a when I'm on it now, and it's a can't send messages because you subscribe to the channel while watching a video made for kids.
Right, because my program is not made for kids. So that's someone else texted me the other day about that actually. So you can't. I think what YouTube does, if you're watching, I don't know, that's weird because somebody has sent me that saying, because my program, I have it not made for kids. Suppose you're watching a kid show, it assumes that you're a kid and therefore don't allow you to subscribe to this channel. It's weird. I got to figure that out, actually. I don't know what the heck that's happening. Somebody has sent me that the other day and they sent me the screenshot of it.
I understand still because I've been on it before with allow me to comment. But anyway, I'm just getting on the football discussion quick, right? Pertaining to this England team, right? I've been disappointed with the playing style of England, and I do believe it comes down to the instruction of Gareth Southgate and the system. Because if you look at the different countries like the Turkey, Spain, Germany, all these respective players, if you look at them across the board, they do thrive at the club level, majority of them, right? And whenever they play, since they've been playing in the Euros, to an extent, they're thriving in the system that they're playing in terms of you're seeing the actual player that plays at their club. You know, like the Musiala, the Words, you know, as much as people want to beat Kai Havertz, He was good in the Euros to an extent, right? As well as many other players for respective countries. But when you look at this England national team, we all know that Gareth Southgate is a pragmatic manager. And I'm not sure as to why folks are surprised by how England are playing now, because even when you look at the 2018 campaign in the World Cup, especially that game against Croatia, scored a good free kick, Trippier, right? And after that, England kind of just sat off, and they've continuously played like this, But I think what is highlighting it so much now is that you have the likes of a Jude Bellingham, Saka, Phil Foden coming off such an exceptional season. I think the expectation is so high that folks are saying that we want to see these types of players that play at their club level in the national team, which on the international stage, I don't think you'll see that majority of the time, but at least to an extent, you should be seeing that those type of like prolific performances that they're showing at the club level. But I think it's the system that England plays in as to why you don't really see those types of performances from like a Jude Bellingham, Saka, Foden, etc.
So here's a question for people actually, which is I'm sure the French are saying the same thing about the France team.
Well,
they scored 2 own goals and they scored 1 penalty. They're not scoring, and they have the Dembeles, they have the Thurams, they have the Mbappes, they have all these Griezmann, all these major stars who have produced at the highest level, and they're not scoring goals. Is it the competition? Is it the teams? Are people caught up? Is it the system? What is it? Why we're not seeing these teams with a lot of good players in the team, or very good players, not performing as we expect?
Let me tell you with France now, right? You see, France, when you look at 2018, right, up to now, France they've always played the same way, because even at the start of the 2018 World Cup campaign, remember, Mbappe never started the first game, and they were struggling to score goals. And even in that campaign as well, leading up to the final, they weren't like a prolific goal scoring team, but they could score goals. When the opportunity was given, they scored, they finished their chances, This campaign, to an extent, obviously they're not scoring any goals. Partially, Mbappe coming off the back of the nose injury. I'm not gonna say it. The mask thing, it kind of just looks stupid at this point in time. But anyways, the mask, he's not performing. And if you look at this France team right now, I don't think it's a new team. If you look at it, take out Mbappe and what's his name, Dembele, the attacking lineup, it's actually new. What's his name, Turam?
Right.
Marcus Thuram.
Yeah. What's the next one for that ever one-on-one with the keeper and can't score? Kolomwani, right? I know that he was there in the last World Cup, but it's a new look French team compared to the 2018 team that I think they were more potent in attack. You know what I'm saying? And plus they had Paul Pogba as well, who he was a great player for them in terms of creating those chances. Mbappe even spoke about that recently in terms of the runs that he usually could make, but not having that Paul Pogba and having players like a Chouameni, Camavinga, they're not going to provide those types of runs for like a Mbappe, Dembele, etc.
So here's a question for three, Tony and the rest of the panel. Has Giroud been underrated? So Giroud never used to score, but Giroud is like a wall where you bounce ball off him. He's a brilliant pass, especially in the hole. He set up people. He's a link. He draw 2 defenders because of his size. He wasn't scoring prolific for France, even though I think he's the top goal scorer, right? He didn't place Henry.
Yeah.
But when he's playing that base where you're linking off him, he's a brilliant link-up player, by the way. Has he been underrated in terms of the France team? Because then Mbappe can be out wide doing what he does, playing off him. So can Dembele. So can Griezmann. They don't have that person in the middle who's linking everything and the connector.
Yeah, I believe.
In my opinion, sorry, Cici. In my opinion, France are trying to find that replacement for Giroud. They recognise that he's no longer the player that he was, and hence why they're trying a combination of either Marcus Thuram or Kolomwani. But neither of them can rub shoulders with Giroud. They just can't. They're not that kind of player, especially Thuram. I think he's so overrated.
Yeah, he doesn't know where the goal is. Go at least in international.
I think as you said, we trying to replace Giroud. I think if we realize France had that Henry, You have had I think Trezeguet. I'm gonna go to that point. You have Henry, you have Benzema, and then they found Olivier Giroud. I don't think France right now, as I rightfully said, have a natural replacement for Olivier, and that's where their problem is lying right now. Because even Mbappe is playing, they are trying to play in that position. Because if you notice, I think Trezeguet to me, as you mentioned, Thuram, I think he's probably what I call it lesser version of Trezeguet. Somebody who is that type of striker. And then what worsens it is that he's not even able to score as much as even Trezeguet would have scored. So I think he's just probably some people that call it poor man Trezeguet. That's the type of player that he is right now, and that's just not good enough for the role. Even Giroud didn't score a goal in the 2018 World Cup that they won, but you see the role that he played was so pivotal in such a way. The only player I think can start over Giroud in France team would have been Karim Benzema, and Benzema is not in the team, or Benzema wasn't in the team at that point in time. And Benzema is a goal scorer, but Benzema can also play the role that Olivier Giroud is playing. So I mean, they have not found that player, and I think because of that, it has impacted the way they played. They don't find back a natural replacement for even a Paul Pogba, and I think Antoine Griezmann is probably aging out. These are his last legs. So when you
And
look
by
at
the way, people say France don't score a goal. Griezmann missed 2 of the easiest goals ever in the tournament.
yeah,
You look at the 2 goals he missed, they like hard to. It's easier to score than to miss those goals. You go back and watch those goals he missed. Really bad misses.
Yeah, man. I think he's beginning to reach a point where I think he's probably looking at retirement at this point in time. Retirement even from the international space, because he's not the player that he once was. The Antoine Griezmann that we had 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, even the last World Cup, that is not the Griezmann that we're getting right now. I think that period has elapsed and it has just caught up to him. And that's just how it goes. Right now, I think they're just trying to blend a new generation of players. But I think Didier Deschamps has passed his sell-by date. You have been successful, yes. Won a World Cup, went to the World Cup finals. You failed, I think, in 2016 when they lost to Portugal in that Euros, which they should have won. But then it's just the nature of football. I think Didier Deschamps right now have to just move on, and there's somebody else to transition this French team into the next probably 8 years or next 2 major international cycles. So I think that's what we are seeing right now with France. And even the struggle right now is just showing up all of the issues that they're suffering from.
I
So
agree. I agree with you, CC. I agree.
For 50-50, 433 presser. Any other comments before you go?
Let me say this. I agree with CC. However, I think Deschamps will be there. Well, it depends on how the Euros go, but I think he'll be there for the 2026 World Cup. I know that Zidane is interested, but my last point is with this England team, I think it's more detrimental. I think the criticism is more fear surrounding England compared to our France, because we've always seen how France would have played back from in like 2016, 2018. But if you look at this England team, on paper, in the Euros, it's the best team. I'm not going to say man for man for every position, but to a large extent. And it's a team that should be creating enough chances with the likes of Harry Kane, with the likes of Foden, Saka, Jude Bellingham, Cole Palmer, all these guys, because they're creative players. I think it's a more creative team compared to other teams in the Euros, and we're not seeing that. So I think the criticism is more fair for England compared to our France.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We have to talk about Holland, because we have not mentioned Holland once.
Okay, go ahead. Holland.
Because you know what? They're the dark horses. They're quietly, just effectively, without having the star names, going about just handling business.
Yeah, I thought their midfield wasn't that great. Good defense, very good defenders across the board, especially even Frimpong can get into the team. I think he's a good player. I don't think their forward line creates, apart from Gakpo, who's impressing, and who to me, I don't really rate that highly, to be honest, but he looks really good. It works really good in the Euros. It looks really, really good in the Euros.
I don't see how you didn't see that for Liverpool. I've loved that geezer from before he came. When he went to
when he
to
played
Liverpool,
against us, I thought he was okay.
I thought it was amazing. I really thought we missed the trick when Liverpool signed him, because the price was amazing, And he's obviously a very talented player, and he's shown it for Liverpool.
Now
If
he's
you haven't
playing
seen it
well. He's playing
in
well.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it in this season, there's something wrong, because he has been very good for Liverpool.
He doesn't always start though, right? They start
No,
Diaz
because
and they start
Liverpool have got obviously an array of talent up front. So this is what is very good about Liverpool. Liverpool can swap and change all their strikers: Núñez, Diaz, Jota.
Yep.
They've got a plethora of options, and so Gakpo gets minutes when he can. But when he gets minutes, he plays well. As does Jota, as does Diaz. And you can see that they've benefited, because those other two players have played well in international football, because they don't play every minute in club football.
Probably because, think about it, people. They've been playing football since July last year. This is now July this year. They're playing straight for a whole year. They didn't get no break, no real break, actually. It's been crazy, and they got to go back to preseason. They'll get 2 weeks off after these tournaments, but then by the time they go back, it's time for the next season to start full force, right? So even Arsenal won't have some players for the America tour.
But you know what the beating is going to be, Kranky and our Leonard also on the panel.
Tony.
England has not England has not beaten a team that is in the top 10 of FIFA ranking at any major tournament since 2016.
Because Southgate is the boogeyman. He makes sure they get the right zones right.
I don't see how that is. We got to the World Cup final, or
the World Cup
semi-final, and we got to the Euro final, the previous one.
Tony, you look at this zone, Tony. Look at the two zones. Tony, look at the two groups we have. On England side, Switzerland, Netherlands.
Austria.
On the other side, you had France, Germany, Spain. It makes sense. And the World Cup was like that too. The last World Cup, not last the World Cup before that was like that.
Yeah.
They had USA. I'm telling you, England has been the luckiest team ever.
So I will say this. I think the Netherlands, remember, they have said that they have played 27 games against teams that have ranked in the top 10, and they have lost majority of those games. I think they have won 3 out of the 27. So the onus is not on England to necessarily even not only win the tournament, but also beating teams that are up in. For example, they're going to go up against Netherlands. So if they face Netherlands, they're expected, if they beat Netherlands, which is a number 7th ranked team right now, and if they go to the final, they're going to face a Spain or a France, which is a top ranked team. So basically the odds are saying, or if based on what England has shown before, they probably fall short at the semi-final, or even fall short going into the final.
So here's my view on that. I think they'll play good against a better team, because I think those teams will be more offensive. I think England struggles to break down a team. We're not necessarily playing low block, but are very balanced defensively. I think, France is going to be hard to beat with their two center halves, right? It's going to be hard to beat France with how well they're in the middle with Tromani, and because they're defensively very, very sound.
Yeah, Kante.
I think Spain can be got. I'm not thinking for Spain defense is that great. If you can get the ball, by the way, because it's hard for you to get the ball.
But look at it like this. If Spain wins the Euros, you're going to look and say, the pathway that Spain took to the Euros. When you're going to the World Cup, Spain is going to the World Cup as favorites. If England wins the Euro, if England makes the final and don't win the Euros, you're looking at it. England got to look at the draw again, and that's how they ended up in the finals. So it's like, for me, even Gareth Southgate has been the most successful English manager. For what success for England is basically, you don't necessarily need to win a trophy, but he's gotten to what?
No, don't be like that. No, he's been to semifinals. He's been to finals. They should have won the last Euro. Let's be honest. They had so much chance to win the last. They scored first. They missed 3 penalties in the later stage. Harry Kane scored. Maguire scored. You thought it was going to be over. When what's his name from Arsenal missed for Italy, you thought it was going to be over. They missed. They should have won the last Euro.
But that's why it comes down to it, Kranky, if there's a psychological block when they go up against teams like these, when they go up against a German informed team, a Spanish informed team, Italy well half informed because Italy hasn't come back as yet. That Italy team that they lost to, it was a disgrace. Italy shouldn't have won the Euros when Italy football is basically down in the doldrums.
It is in the doldrums. So we're going to finish off the program because it's 2 hours. Two things. One is prediction. By the way, tomorrow, myself and Tony are doing watch-alongs for both the Argentina versus Canada game, and for the the France versus Spain game.
Spain, yeah.
Right, we're doing watch along for those. One is at 3 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. London time. I think the other one is at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 1 a.m. London time. We're doing watch along for those people, so please join us. With further points before we close out, for UCC, your prediction for tomorrow's games. We'll do the other games the next day. Your prediction for Argentina, Canada, and for Spain, France.
All right, so my prediction for Argentina, Canada, I think this is a 3-0 victory for Argentina.
Oh, by the way, it looks like we woke up. We woke up. Gunners Boss. We woke up. Gunners Boss. Go ahead, CC. Then Gunners Boss. Take your prediction.
Yeah. So my prediction is a 3-0 in favor of Argentina. I think Canada is playing pretty much better under Jesse Marsh than they were playing under the coach before. But I think this is a bit much for them. So I think it's a 3-0 victory for Argentina. Canada benefited from playing 2 games against 10 men. So, I mean, that's also in their favor getting into this game.
Yeah, but Canada played Argentina well.
Yeah, they played Argentina
In fact, they should have scored multiple times before Argentina went rampant and went on them.
Yeah, but
they should have scored. Easy goals, too.
Yeah.
They got no striker, though.
No, they have the guy. They have what's his name from France, don't they? That plays in France.
Kyle Lauren. I think he
not Lauren.
Jonathan David.
Jonathan David.
Jonathan
David. Yeah, not Alphonso Davis.
I mean, I think it's 3-0. I think Argentina is not the team to score a bunch of goals, but I think they will get over Canada. The French and
they're gonna beat Canada. Argentina can beat them 3-0. Okay.
Yeah, I think this French and the Spanish situation is France. I think France need to score a goal from open play, so I'm going to give them that. They're going to score tomorrow from open play. I think the Spaniards are going to be a little bit too much for them, though. So I'm saying 2-1 for Spain versus France. 2-1 because France defense is very solid still. So you're not going to go maul them. So it's 2-1 Spain and 3-0 Argentina and not Canada. But I expect Canada to put up a good fight.
Okay. Gunners Boss?
Yes, sir. I was not asleep. You have to remember, see, I work, me just come from, so you know me have to go catch a little wash off on them too. Yeah. Okay. And you know where I'm at, Kranky, you know where I'm at, is like, it was 96 degrees today, turned into, like, it feels like 102 outside. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have any prediction of this game, or you want to pass?
My team, Germany, out, so that is that. Right there, me now pick nothing over this. So I wish both teams could have lost. So me now pick nobody over this. But Argentina was my pick to win the Copa. I'm still saying Argentina 2, Canada 0.
Okay, Tony.
Oh man, so Argentina will definitely beat Canada. I would join CC on a 3-0. France against Spain. You know when you just feel there's gonna be a game where a team's gonna shock you, and I don't know if it's England or France, but neither team should win their next game, but one of them will. So if France lose tomorrow, England will probably beat Netherlands because.
Yeah, who you picking?
I pick France in this one. I'm going to pick France. I think Spain can be got at. A rampant Dembele and a rampant Mbappe. If Mbappe is feeling the face is he's had a little bit of time for that to recover a little bit. I think it has made his whole play. It's just thrown his equilibrium. And I think if he's a little bit better now and he's able to play at a decent level, 95%. I think he causes the Spain defenders all kind of problems. Obviously, Dembele is going to do what Dembele does. And as you said, France's defense is impenetrable. It is rock solid. And, when you were mentioning about Didier Deschamps, the fact that he's been unable to recognize the talent that is William Saliba.
A little bit Arteta too, but we won't go there.
Yeah, you're right.
You hear me call it out forever. Like,
you know, I've said that.
Yes, we call it out. When they're talking about, we send him away on loan. There's a brilliant move. I hear Robbie said at that time, stop, Robbie. Stop, Robbie. It wasn't a brilliant move. He was playing in France. That's why we bought him. And you had him 3 years out on loan. Stop the nonsense about, this is a brilliant move by Arteta. That's why he turned to a great player. No, he was a brilliant player from day one. He only got better every single year. And he's been awesome in the tournament. He makes, what's his name from Bayern look good also, because I think he can be rash sometimes. He covers him. They have a good player on the left. They have a good defense. And their Tremaine in the middle helps. They're hard to... I'm picking some... Here's my prediction. Argentina 3-1. I think Argentina defense is not the greatest. I think Romero can get a penalty at any point in time. I mean, give a penalty or get a red card. And last game, he should have gotten a red card, by the way. And I think France 2-1. I love Spain, by the way. I think they're brilliant. But France is hard to score on. Morata is not the most best striker. Nico Williams may be the challenge for France. But if you put Dembele on one wing and Mbappe on the other wing and you feed them, you're in business. And probably put Giroud to be just a roadblock in the middle of the park to occupy people. I think you're a roadblock. And look, Giroud can still head the ball in the goal. Right? He can still head the ball in the goal, cross the ball in his head, force the defense to collapse on him, give Dembele and Mbappe more room. You have a chance to win.
Yeah, but anyway, he turns like an 18-wheel truck, though.
I know, but that's how Jamaica 2 strikers are. Anyway, I've been saying this from day one. They're the Titanic, I call them. But people, I appreciate you being here. Hey, Tony, CC, and Gunner's boss, thanks for being here. Tony, great as usual. We'll catch up tomorrow. We'll do this thing tomorrow. We'll make sure it works. I know it's late your time, Tony, and thanks for being here. It's 1 o'clock in the UK. Everyone on the chat, as I said before you leave, just hit the like button. For those who are subscribed and then say they get some communication around they've watched a child program, I think the view is that you have to unsubscribe and subscribe again, or put your channel on adults only or something. I don't know what that's about, because the second person have come up back to me, more than 2 actually, about this. Love you being here. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm not on at 6, at 3 with Tony. And then we are back at 8 p.m. So we're going to watch the France game. Brilliant game to watch tomorrow, I'm sure, because Spain make you play football if you don't want to. And then we're at 8 p.m. with Argentina versus Canada. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to send you up my music.
I can confirm you've probably seen on Hello. That has worked for me because I unsubscribed and then resubscribed, and the test has worked. It does.
So Tony says unsubscribe, resubscribe, then you can comment. And obviously, you can't come in if you don't subscribe, because that's how life works. But anyway, people, thanks for being here. And I'll send you out with Kranky Live as usual. Kranky Live is the best to be now. For the best sports talk, and it's free, yo. Kranky Live will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky Live. Kill them, Kranky Life. Heed them, Kranky Life. Want them, Kranky Life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose, because Kranky has the hottest news. With
Kranky, I wanted to ask
to break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky Life. Kill them, Kranky Life. Heed them, Kranky Life. Want them, Kranky Life. Kranky Live, where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky Live, get to know the name, because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky Live, give me my Kranky Live. I want my Kranky Live. Must have my Kranky Live. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat, and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky Life. Kill them, Kranky Life. Heed them, Kranky Life. Want them, Kranky Life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky Live. Tune into Kranky Life. Like up Kranky Life. Subscribe to Kranky Life. Kranky Life Coming to you on weekdays, Kranky live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky live, me say fi tell them Kranky live. Me say fi eat them Kranky live. On them, Kranky live. Kranky live will be around. Kranky live is the best in town. Me say fi eat them, me say fi want them. Me say fi eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky live. Kranky live. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky live. Kranky live. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Kranky live. Kranky live. Kranky. Eat them, want them, eat them, want them. Eat, want, eat them.